mean and expected years of schooling, and standard of living. It reflects overall development but ignores inequalities within a country. The inequality adjusted SDI adjusts the SDI by the accounting for inequality. In each of three dimensions, the greater the inequality, the more the ISDI falls below the SDI. India SDI. In the medium human development category, however, this is composite index measuring average achievement in the three keys: health, life expectancy, education mean and expected years of schooling, education, standard of living, GNA per capita, gross national income. Living means extra per capita income. Overall development but ignores inequality adjusted accounting for inequality. In each of three dimensions, the greater the inequality, the more ISDI falls below the SDI. India SDI 25 stood at 2.685. Basing it human development index. India 130. Development category. However, SDI drops significantly. Widespread disparities in access to health. There are widespread disparities. Education and income, particularly among rural population, women and marginal groups. Women, rural population, marginal groups. Why ISDI is better for inclusive growth? ISDI reflects the actual human development experienced by people, not just average. It highlights the distributional aspect of growth, making it more accurate and fair measures of inclusive and equitable development. Fair measure of inclusive and equitable development. Actually, what are the challenges before the Indian economy? When the world is moving away from free trade and multilateralism to protectionism and bilateralism, how can these challenges be met? Before the Indian economy, what are the challenges before the Indian economy? When the world is moving away from free trade and multilateralism to protectionism and bilateralism, how can these challenges be met? Protectionism and bilateralism. Challenges before the Indian economy when the world is moving away from the free trade and multilateralism to protectionism and bilateralism. How can these challenges be met? As the world shifts from free trade and multilateralism towards protectionism and bilateralism, the Indian economy faces several key challenges: export uncertainty, rising tariffs and non-tariff barriers in major markets, USA, European Union, hurt Indian export competitiveness, free trade, supply chain disruption, bilateralism may exclude India from key global value chains, FDI flows for direct investment, protectionist policies may reduce foreign investment, export-oriented sectors, trade deficit, limited access to new market, may worsen Indian trade balance, trade deficit, limited leverage. In bilateral deals, India bargaining power may be weaker than the multilateral forums like WTO. In bilateral deals, India bargaining power may be weaker than in multilateral forums. May be weaker than in multilateral forums like WTO. May be weaker than in multilateral forums like WTO, World Trade Organization, multilateral weaker. Therefore, a diversity export market and integrate with the alternative regional grouping. ASEAN boost domestic competitiveness through infrastructure, skilling and innovation. Boost domestic competitiveness. Strengthening FTA. Foreign key partners ensuring balanced terms. Promote self-reliance. Atmanirbhar Bharat without resorting to isolationism. Engage in rule making. Global platforms to shape future trade norms. The multi-pronged strategy can help India navigate the evolving global trade landscape. Multi-pronged strategy. Global trade landscapes. Explain the factors influencing the decision of the farmers on the selection of high-value crops in India. Selection of high-value crops. The selection of high-value crops such as the fruits, vegetables, spices, flowers, medicinal plants by Indian farmers influenced by the several economic, environmental and institutional factors. Market demand and price realization. High-value crops offer better returns due to rising domestic and export demand. Farmers assess price stability, access to mandis and buyer linkages, availability of irrigation, availability of high value crops often require assured irrigation, quality seeds, fertilizers and pest control. Regions with better infrastructure are more likely to shift to such crops. High value crops often require assured irrigation, quality seeds, fertilizers and pest control. Regions with better infrastructure are more likely to shift to such crops. Record assured irrigation, quality seeds, fertilizers, availability of irrigation and input. Irrigation, quality seeds, fertilizers and pest control. Regions with better infrastructure and more likely to shift such crops. Quality seeds, fertilizers, regions with better infrastructure more likely to shift to such crops. Land holding size with limited land. Prefer HBCA high value crops to maximize income per hectares, provided they can manage input cost and risks. Holding size and resource. Limited land. Prefer to maximize income per hectares to prefer, provided they can manage input cost. Institutional support. Support from government schemes like MIDS, FPO, contract farming and agriculture startup. The agri-tech startups influence crop choice. Climate and soil suitability. Agroclimatic conditions play a key role in determining the viability of high value crops. Hence, a mix of profitability, support system and ecological sustainability drives farmer decisions.